Hello, this is Noreen Crone-Findlay from Crone-Findlay.com and toddytalkscrafts.com. As you can see, today I'm going to be doing a video tutorial about how I weave jewelry using the Shaft Zoom Loom and other treasures that I find around the house. And I also do a neat little bit of upcycling too, and I'll talk to you more about that in a second. I hope you can hear them. I'm doing this video in springtime after the world's longest, hardest, horriblest winter, and the frogs and birds are singing outside my studio, and it's just wonderful. Here is my page with my links. Crone-Findlay.com is my that's my website. And that's where you go to order books and patterns and things. Please do. And toddytalkscrafts.com is my blog. And that's where I post all the support material for these video tutorials. Okay, let's get started weaving some wonderful, gorgeous jewelry. I absolutely love weaving jewelry. These are some of the pieces that I've been weaving. That one's crocheted wire, so it doesn't count when I'm talking to you about woven jewelry. And this one has crocheted wire mesh, a wire mesh flower, which isn't showing up. I wonder if I shade it a bit, if it shows up better, and tatting around it. And this one also has tatting. I'm hoping that these are in focus. The reason why they have hang tags on them is because I'm weaving them for the maker fairs and craft shows that I'm doing this summer. So these pieces are all, I wove the fabric for these ones with the Zoom Loom, and I'm going to show you how to do the round woven pins, upcycling orange juice cans. But you can make your woven jewelry any shape that you want. So next I'll show you what you need to weave some wonderful jewelry, magical jewelry. Starting with using your woven fabric. Like I said, when you use the Zoom Loom, you make a little square of fabric that's it has no raveled edges, and so it's just great because it's good on all four sides and works so beautifully in the jewelry. Okay, so that's what we're going to work on. So what are the tools and equipment and materials that you need to weave jewelry using the Zoom Loom? The Zoom Loom is Shaft Loom's new version of the wonderful old vintage Weave It looms that were in production from the 20s through to the 70s. And I have a bunch of them, and they're wonderful. So I'm delighted that Shaft Looms is making this again. If you don't have the Zoom Loom or Weave It, and you do have a 4-inch size loom from, there's a bunch of people making wonderful little looms, then you can use those as well. So, of course, you need to have your loom. You need to have yarn, hand spun or commercial, and you'll need to have the weaving needle that comes with the loom. And scissors. I've got thread snips here. And you'll need a needle and thread. You going to need, here is the cool secret that I'm going to share with you. As I was making the pins and brooches using the Zoom Loom, I thought, hey, orange juice lids, frozen orange juice, the lids would be the perfect size for these brooches. And so I've been harvesting the lids from the frozen juice containers. And if you follow the lines of the, how that cardboard spirals around, and you can pull them right out of the groove there, and so you don't have bits of cardboard. So there's your upcycled component. Actually, another upcycled component can be finding neat pieces of jewelry or buttons or broken earrings or whatever from yard sales and things, and combining those. And perhaps you have your grandmother's one of her earrings. Well, you can take that old earring and use it, combine it in, and use it with the different pieces to make a one-of-a-kind brooch. Now, I always carry my tatting shuttle with me and have it in my pocket because I'm one of those people that think better when their hands are in motion. And so I like to have just a very simple edging always on the go, and that's great for around the edges of the brooches. You'll also need, for the back of the brooch, you'll need to have a circle of felt or other non-fraying fabric, thick fabric that you can snip and put 2 snips, and then you slip the head of a big safety pin and the spring part through those snips. Now, if you're working on a smaller brooch, then go ahead and use the commercial little pin backs. But I make the brooches that I make using the orange juice lids, they're pretty hefty. And so I prefer to work with a really sturdy, good old-fashioned safety pin, because I know it's going to, it's not going to break, it's not going to poing apart, it's going to hold the brooch onto the shawl or hat or bag or lapel. And having pliers is good. If you're going to use wire, having wire snips is good. You'll also need just a teeny wee little bit of polyester stuffing. And I like to finish the back rough edge, finish the back raw edge of the brooch with narrow commercial lace. You can use yarn or ribbon or beading, whatever you'd like. You also need a hot glue gun or thick craft glue. If you have a hot glue gun, keep a rag close by in case you make a splorch of the glue. You can work with your glue gun to scoop it up and then smooch it into the rag to get rid of your yuckies. Also, too, it's good to have a cup of water beside you, because if you accidentally touch your hand to the hot glue gun, it's so yowie. Now, when you're weaving your squares, you can use hand spun yarn. And what I did with this one, because this hand spun was quite beefy, you can see it's quite thick, it's pretty sturdy. So I used 3 layers of the hand spun yarn, and in one thinner layer to weave it all in. And I did that with this one too. And you can see I've used 2 different colors of yarn and worked with a thinner strand as my final weaving strand. So what I do is I use 2 strands of pink, 2 layers of the green, and then 1 layer of pink, and then use the pink to weave it, which gives it really It's a very nice, I like to have that kind of mottled look to it. Now, let's get started. The first thing that you're going to do after you have woven your squares is, here, I'll move this out of the way. You're going to, sorry, I keep bumping the stand here. You're going to stitch in, you're going to gather with a needle and thread, and I've already done it here in a circle and around the outside edge of your square, of your woven square. You're going to skip going past the corner because you want to follow in a circle. So once you've done that, pull it up a little bit, and that will gather it. Then take a little bit of stuffing, pop it in, then pop your orange juice lid, or, oh, I'm showing my bias there. Whatever kind of juice you particularly like, pop it in there. Pop the lid in. And then pull up with your basting thread until it's tight. Then take your needle and pick up one corner and another corner, stitch across and pull up tight. Then pick up the other two corners and pull them up tight. And that is going to secure your fabric. Your woven square now is a beautiful, clean, finished circle. So I've got a yarn end hanging out here, which just seems to me to be perfect. So I'm going to tie this in a knot with my stitching thread. I'm going to just put it down so I can stitch it off, tie it off. There we go. And I always think one extra tie or two extra ties is better than not. Okay, so there we go. And now what we're going to want to do is snip our threads off. And at this point, you look at what would you like to put onto your pin. Well, I was thinking, I have this locket that I don't wear anymore, and I found at a garage sale, I found this wonderful set of earrings that were clip-on style earrings, and so I took the clippy bit off. I'm going to just squeeze that down. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. I might take my pliers and give it a bit more squishage than I can get with my fingers. Okay, that's well and truly squished. So I want the locket to move freely. I have a preference for having things kind of asymmetrical. I just think it's kind of more interesting than having it right on dead center. But that's just my preference. If you like it dead center, you put it just where you want it to be. So I like that there. I'm going to now take hot glue, and I should have another one here to preload in the back. So I'm going to hot glue onto the back of the earring, and then I will squish it down onto the weaving, onto the base. Okay, there we go. And I push it in, because that way what happens is when I really squish down hard in, it pushes the glue right into the woven strands, which helps to lock it in place. There we go. Okay. And I also really like to have asymmetrical, I like to have like an odd number of elements on my piece. And so I will often just take, when I have two large pieces like this, I'll take a third smaller piece. Let's see, does that heart work? You know, I kind of like that heart on there. So I'm going to take my needle and thread, and I'm going to go into the weaving. I'll come at it this direction. Now I haven't tied a knot, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to bury my end inside, and then I'm going to, sorry for bumping, then I'm going to take several stitches in place to lock my thread end in. Okay, so now I can stitch my heart. Oh, not with this needle I can't. Duh. Sometimes I just amaze myself when I do silly things like that. Okay, you know what? Instead of putting this heart on, I'm going to rummage about and see if I have something else that would look equally nice. I suppose what I could do is stop the camera and what will this heart do? No. Okay, I'm going to stop the camera because I like these two pieces together, but I need to get, in order to put the little gold heart on, I need to cut the thread and start over with a smaller needle. So excuse me, I'll be right back. Okay, so I went and I decided this heart, I love it. I want it on there. So I put a jump ring on. Hopefully that'll show up. And I'm going to stitch it. I'm going to go up a bit under the earring if I can. Hopefully that will work. I'm going to stitch it in place. There we go. I want the jump ring to sort of go in more. Okay, so I'll just keep stitching here. It gets a bit clumsy because of course you're all stitched down behind the base. Okay, and I'm going to take that thread up and to the back and stitch off, anchor my stitching by stitching in place 5 or 6 times in place and then trimming it. Okay, and snip that off. Whoops, I kind of leaned out of the screen there. Sorry. Okay, so now I'm going to take, I traced around my orange juice can lid with just, and then just snipped out my circle of felt, and I cut my 2 little notches and I put my pin through. You can see it'll open and close easily and freely. Now I'm going to make sure I want the pin to line up in a way that makes I'm holding the pin horizontally, and I want it to be sure that the brooch will hang in the direction I want it to hang, and that not have the law of gravity take over. So that's why I'm holding it vertically like this, to make sure that the heart and the locket will hang properly. And while I'm still holding those in place, I'm going to lift half of the, I don't want to lift the circle all the way off, so I'm going to lift half of it off. I'm going to take my hot glue gun. I'm going to splooch a bunch of hot glue in here. Again, you can use, if you don't like hot glue, feel free to use thick craft glue. Then I'm going to squish that down. And I do have a bit of a yucky bit there where it popped out. So I'm going to coax that back in. And that means the nozzle will be coated, and you don't want to have glue on the outside of your nozzle because that will definitely get messy on you. Okay, so keep squishing your glue in, pressing your backing into your brooch. Now fold over the other half and do the same thing. Glue, 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 glue. Glue, glue, glue. Okay. All right. And while it's still hot, I'm going to check, does that hang the way I want it to hang? Yes, it does. So that I'm good to go with the back is on. But I don't like that raw edge. So I'm going to take some of the white, the narrow commercial lace. It's about 1/4 of an inch wide. And I'm going to start at the lower edge here. And I'm going to put just a tiny little bead of glue around. And I'm going to lay that on. Okay. And I will push it in with the tip of my glue gun, and then I'm going to use my rag to clean the tip. Use several layers of the rag so you're not burning yourself. Okay, and I'm pretty fanatical about keeping the tip of the glue gun clean. And when I get little, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a little hangover hanging out of there, I will smooch that off because I don't want that uncontrolled drip doing its own thing. I have a small dog who's asking to go out, so I'm going to just call my husband and ask him if he'll let the little one out. Sweetie, can you let the dog out, please? Can you let the dog out, please? He's mooing at the door. Quite politely, but quite feverishly. I'm still shooting, so I can't really stop. Well, I could, but I didn't. Okay, so still gluing, 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 gluing. Thanks, hon. Okay. Push in with the tip there, and wipe in case it's contaminated. Now I'm really close to this edge being finished, so I'm going to snip that off and go back and just put the final bead here and flip that over, lay my lace in and press it down. Now, of course, you saw at the beginning of the video when I showed you the display board with different versions of pins that I've made. I make them all different sizes and shapes, and you can too. But I just wanted to show you the very cool upcycling trick of using the juice tin lids. So that's why this demonstration is round. Okay, now I like to use my tatted lace, hand tatted lace, around the edge. And especially this little pin is kind of romantic with the heart and the locket and the flower. So I had pre-measured that, and yep, that fits. Okay, so I'm going to grab a hot glue stick here and have it right close beside. I'm going to do the same thing I did before with gluing the lace to the back, only now I'm going to place the bead of glue just ever so slightly above the last row of the white lace. Okay. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. You know what I just did. Yep. I just got myself with the hot glue, which then gave me all these lovely little strings, which I don't like. Owie, owie, that hurt. Okay. It's been one of those days. We have this really old, really heavy folding metal and wooden table. I dropped it on down my Achilles tendon. So I am just hobbling today with the big yowies. And then I cut my thumb, and then I just burnt myself. So 3's a charm. I'm done. Okay, so I know you're never supposed to, when you're doing a tutorial, you're never supposed to get personal about things like that. So forget I told you, okay? All right, I'm going to wipe my schnozzle off here. And I'm going to trim that thread. Oh, there's another one. Trim that little darling too. Snip. And do I need to put another glue stick in? Not yet. Okay, again, a very light touch on the trigger because you don't want heavy-duty splorch at this point. So I would like those to meet, so I'm just going to pull on that a little bit. There we go. Whoops. It's okay, sweetie. What was he complaining about? Kitty. Oh. Yeah. Okay. The usual, yes. Little brother. Okay. We are done. There we go. The dogs are in. All's well. And okay, I think you can probably hear, it sounds like Niagara Falls right now. That's a very large dog. Our golden is just it's a hot day here, so she's drinking the equivalent of Niagara Falls. There you go. Here is a gorgeous brooch made with the squares woven, hand spun by my daughter-in-love, my son's wonderful wife, my second daughter. And yeah, she became my second daughter. That probably sounded wrong. And the Zoom Loom. So there we go. There we have it. Quick and easy. Well, it's not that quick and easy, but it is easy. And it does take time. But Oh, it's worth it. So happy weaving, happy jewelry making, and happy upcycling. So we'll see you again soon, and I'll list all kinds of links and things on Toddy Talks Crafts. So there we have it. Talk to you soon. Go gently. Be well. Don't drop tables on your leg.